All right, good evening, everyone. We've got a full house tonight. That's awesome. Thank you for being here. It is 7 o'clock, so we will call this meeting to order. Please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yeah, I love it. Thank you. All right, we have a very full agenda tonight. All right, we're going to start with a presentation of the GFOA Awards. And we have some members of the Finance Department here today. Matt, if you want to come up with us. All right, let me grab my. Okay, welcome. Thank you for all your hard work. So we have 3 awards tonight, and we have an award-winning finance team. And you'll see that as I read through this here, but it's some of these awards have been 20 consecutive years. So excellent work, excellent work. And so these are, Matt, just give a little background, just briefly, kind of what the GFOA is. And
so the Government Finance Officers Association is basically a national association for government finance professionals throughout Canada and USA. It's a best practice group for a lot of basically how to do your budgets, how to do financial reporting. So we've been winning the award for budget presentation, for annual financial reports, and also a new one, the popular annual financial report.
Okay, awesome. So I'll just go through. The first one is a Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting for the Annual Comprehensive Financial Report, ACFR. And this is for the fiscal year ended December 31st, 2023. So this is a little bit ago. But this is the 20th consecutive year the city has received this top honor in governmental accounting and financial reporting. Very good. So that's 20 years. That's, I imagine, there's not too many years. I'll just go. Sit on down. Okay. Oh, we're gonna get. You want to get one picture of all of them? Okay. The next one is it's called the Popular Annual Financial Reporting Award, and this is the city's first ever Popular Annual Financial Reporting Award for fiscal year ended December 31st, 2023, and it was evaluated on reader appeal, understandability, distribution methods, creativity, and other elements. And so not only is the finance department involved in that, but Danica, our communications manager, is involved in that as well. And so we want to thank her for that. She's listening online here. Thank you. She does a great job putting this together along with the finance team. And if you want to say anything more, this is our first year winning this. Is this?
Yeah, since we have some pretty dense, long financial reports, sometimes several hundred pages, we're trying to find new ways to basically reach our be transparent with financial information so that our residents can understand what's going on in the community.
All right. Awesome. Thank you. And you can be the distinguished one. So, the Distinguished Budget Presentation Award for the annual budget for fiscal year 2025, recognizing the city's commitment to transparency and excellence in financial reporting or planning. This is the 11th consecutive year the city has earned this distinction. The award is the highest form of recognition in governmental budgeting. In addition to receiving the award, the city also earned special recognition for its capital program. So again, that's really impressive. All right. right along. Our next presentation is from the Gardner Chamber of Commerce. We have an update from the new Chamber Director, Beth Belsky.
Hi, thank you for the opportunity. I'm just going to go through a few slides to give you all a quick update on the work of the Chamber and what we have to look forward to. Focusing on our business connections throughout the year, in the past year, we've had 14 ribbon cuttings in cooperation with the city per our agreement with them, and we have the ability to engage over 400 members of the community in those ribbon cuttings. Obviously, we have our networking coffees, and we've had 20 plus. We also do happy hours that are part of that engagement of people, of members and community. And then we've had over 10 special events to engage business and community members. Some of those are partnership events with other organizations in the community. And then obviously on April 22nd, we have State of the City that we partner with the city on. And then also, this last year, we were able to graduate the first Leadership Gardner class of 12 people. And we look forward to continuing that program, growing that program. This year, we'll have 14 people graduate from Leadership Gardner. Just a little bit about our business efforts, business development and workforce efforts, and really how people see us as a resource in the community. And so our website, you can see unique visitors, folks coming to our website. You can see the numbers there, over 41,000. And then page views, over 87,000. Social media, Facebook, we're really trying to grow our social media. And we have over 30,000 users for that. Calls for service. This is really a big part of what we do. Nearly 400. So that's folks calling in. Might be questions about office space, relocation, expansion. Oftentimes it's just referring folks to the city in terms of permits and licensing. Questions about transportation. We get a lot of those as well. And then questions about events. Workforce development and community profile and job postings. So we have job postings for those folks that are interested in putting those on our website. We provide the community profile, which is also included in our GE magazine. And workforce development is something we continue to grow. Currently partnerships with, for example, Johnson County Community College. We are doing the new resident bags and relocation info, over 800 of those, and then our GE magazine, which is 12,000 plus. A lot of those are mailed out directly. In the area of tourism, we do a lot of promotion for Gardner Parks and Rec and Johnson County Parks and Rec. We maintain the literature racks at the Chamber and Library and have a lot of participation in regional initiatives. This is extremely important for travel and tourism. So there's a lot of acronyms there, but if anyone has any questions, these are metro-wide as well as statewide. Just a little bit about some of our programs that we look forward to in the future. As I had already mentioned, the leadership program, we really want to grow that. And specifically, my goal is not just presenting a leadership program to educate folks about the community, but then to get them plugged into leadership roles within the community. So that's a really important component of that, and I think there's a lot of opportunity to continue to grow that. We're working on putting together a downtown business committee to really look at the downtown area and have that unified voice and work cooperatively with the city on what we can do for those downtown businesses. The World Cup, we're going to put together a World Cup committee that eventually will transition into a travel and tourism committee, but really looking at how businesses can take advantage of all the additional folks that will be in the Gardner area and the metro for the World Cup. And so a big component of that is really starting with educating folks about what the World Cup means, not, to specifically to Gardner, and how folks can really prepare for that. And then our Chamber of Commerce Foundation, we look to really develop that. We have a contract with the Greater Manhattan Community Foundation, and so there's several steps that we need to take to really develop that before we're in a position to where we can actually allocate funds from the Chamber of Commerce Foundation. Once again, I just kind of want to reiterate our tag there, a catalyst for business growth, convener of leaders and influencers, and a champion for a stronger community. So please let me know if you have any questions, and I really appreciate the opportunity to be here tonight.
All right, thank you, Beth. Appreciate it. Council, do you have any quick questions? Or? All right, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Yeah, our next presentation is outside agency budget requests. This would be Matt Wolf.
The city contributes funding to several organizations that provide services to Gardner residents. The purpose of the presentation tonight is to summarize the 2026 funding request for the governing body. My presentation will also include an update on the Economic Development Fund and the Special Alcohol and Drug Fund, which provide most of the funding for these outside agencies. And I do believe we have several representatives from the agencies on Zoom here tonight. The funding requests for the Gardner Chamber of Commerce and the Gardner Historical Museum are the same as they were last year: $50,000 for the Chamber of Commerce, and $25,000 for the Historical Museum. The UCS Human Services Fund and the Drug and Alcoholism Council and Johnson County Utility and Rental Assistance Programs all requested increased funding in order to meet demand for services and maintain high levels of service. The Gardner Cemetery Association's request for additional funding was primarily due to an increase in cemetery grounds maintenance costs. In the Economic Development Fund, it's funded primarily by transient guest tax revenues. We get about $376,000 a year. We have a starting fund balance of $645,000, and our expenditures for this year are $310,000, and we're projecting about $316,000 for 2026. That includes both the Chamber's funding request and the Gardner Historical Museum. In addition to that, we also have the Gardner Small Business Assistance Program, the city's recreation event promotion activities, and then we have a transfer to general fund to support economic activities. In the Special Alcohol and Drug Fund, basically the funding source for that is about a third of it is a third of our liquor tax revenues. Annual revenues are about $80,000, with a starting fund balance of about $233,000. And the new funding request is for $38,000, so annually we expect an ongoing budget surplus, and that fund balance will continue to grow. So that kind of summarizes the state of those funds that support these. The other ones you'll see listed are either general fund or utility billing service fund, which is supported by all three enterprise funds. That's it for the outside agency budget requests. Do you have any questions?
Council, do you have any questions? Thank you, Matt. And I imagine you're staying up here for our next presentation, 2026-2030 Capital Improvement Program.
So the CIP process this year started with the first public meeting in March 4th for the budget retreat. At that meeting, each department director went over their major capital projects in detail. I'm here tonight, I'm presenting a CIP draft In your agenda packets, you'll find both the summary report by department that summarizes all their projects, but also detailed project sheets. This new draft basically includes direction from council from the previous retreat. Then on May 27th, the CIP draft will be presented to the Planning Commission, where they review it to see conformance with the comprehensive plan. And then later on in the fall, the 26th through 2030 CIP will be considered for approval along with the 26 budget. This slide provides a quick overview of the 5-year CIP. The largest amount of expenditures are going towards streets and stormwater, about 31 million. After that, it's 27 million for water, 15.3 for wastewater, 5.6 for parks and rec, 3.6 for electric, and about 5.8 for airport. Please note that these numbers include grant funding and debt proceeds. There's about $15.4 million in grants in the 5-year CIP. And the total costs are about 89.3 million. A few of the projects may have pre-construction costs in 2025 or earlier. The numbers you're going to see here are for things that fall within the 5-year window. If you want to see any costs that occur in prior years or might occur slightly after the 5-year window, if you look at the detailed project sheets in the agenda packet, you'll have that additional information. Also, please note that this presentation is just highlighting some of the major capital projects. There are a lot of smaller utility system projects in the CIP, and you can find those in the reports in your agenda packet. So based on Council's comments at the budget retreat, a new project was added to the CIP. It was for creating turf fields at Celebration Park. The debt service for the project would be supported by transient guest tax, and the project is currently scheduled for 2026. It's kind of a placeholder. We wouldn't actually start that project until we see movement on another hotel in Gardner. And then in 2027, we have the Stone Creek Park Playground Replacement Project. And then in 2030, we have the Celebration Park Playground Replacement and also the pool play structure replacement projects. Funding sources for Parks and Rec projects include Park Improvement Fund, which is our park impact fees, Special Parks Fund, which is a third of the liquor tax, Economic Development Fund, which is transient guest tax, grants, and CIP Reserve Fund. Please note that the projects are dependent on grants or development revenues, so they might move years depending on availability of those resources. For streets, design for 175th Street and I-35 Declare Road improvements is scheduled for 2025. The construction phase is shown in 2026 as a placeholder. The timing of those improvements may change based on KDOT's study of the interchange and then development activity in the area. Other street projects include Grand Street Poplar to Center in 2026. That project's actually part of our PMP. We do the high dollar amount. We listed it as a separate CIP, but that would be ultimately funded with special sales tax. Then also in 2026, we have the mill and overlay of Old 56. And then in 27, we have the 167th Street Center to Moonlight reconstruction, Moonlight Road warrant to 167th Street. In 28, we have I-35 and US 56 interchange improvements, and Gardner Road, 188th Street to BNSF. Then finally in 2029, we have 175th Street, Osage to Waverly. Since we have a lot of street projects coming up, we're also using a lot of different funding sources. Our primary one for streets is special highway. That's our gas tax, county sales tax, and grants. We're also dedicating some development revenues from IRB origination fees and excise taxes. Bond and interest fund might be utilized as well. And then infrastructure special sales tax fund as well.
Matt, can you go back? I believe that's 188 Gardner Road to the city limits, right?
This is how the CIP was described.
Okay.
It's in here. Gardner Road, 188th Street to BNSF.
Or is that Gardner Road, the part that was resurfaced 3 or 4 years ago? From the bridge, the BNSF bridge south to east.
Right.
Okay, I wanted to make sure, I wanted to clarify that because it seemed a little awkward.
The airport fund, to fund its CIP, it will need to borrow money from the electric fund for the temporary financing of projects. The loans would be repaid after grant proceeds are received. Periodically, the hangar rates will need to be adjusted as well. The airport fund forecast currently assumes a 9% increase every 3 years. The idea is to basically have the equivalent of inflation and capture 3 years, so assuming 3% each year. Some of the projects we have are the demolition of property on Tract E, that's the Gardner property in 26, replacing the fuel facility, terminal building replacement would be in 26 as well, then reconstruct West Apron in 27, then we get into design on the East Apron in 2030. For the electric utility, in 26, we have the Substation 1 T2 upgrade, the SCADA upgrade, and then in 27, we have the Clare Road 3-phase underground power line extension. And then kind of in the out years, you'll see the land acquisition for a new Substation 5, kind of beginning plans for future generation capacity, and then Substation 2 T4 upgrade planning and design. The electric CIP is supported by charges for services and electric connection fees. We also have an electric capital reserve fund balance of about 3.5, and we have no planned rate changes. For water, we have 2 very large projects. We're actually doing the pre-construction starting this year for these, but then the construction for the new water transmission line would occur in 26. And then the construction for the new water intake structure at Hillsdale Lake in 2027. Water fund is supported by charges for services and system development fees. We currently have an approved annual water rate increase of 3.7% each year through 2030. However, since the capital costs have gone up over the years, we're looking at increasing that by 1% each year and also adding on a year. So that'd be 4.7% each year through 2031. For wastewater, we have the Kill Creek interceptor improvements in 2026, oxidation ditch mixers and rotors in 27, Madison to Main Street relief line in 29, then the Nike lift station in Force Main. Pre-construction's in 27, construction in 29. That project could move depending on development activity, kind of around the Tuscan Farm area. It'd be supported by charges for services, system development fees, and then it has planned wastewater rate increases of 4.2% through 2031. That concludes my presentation. Do you have any questions?
Thank you, Matt. Council, do you have any questions on any of that?
We've got some work to do.
Yeah, growing community, a lot of projects for sure. All right, thank you, Matt, I appreciate that. All right. All right, get me for the next few presentations. All right. So, we have public safety and police forward. Yeah, absolutely.
years ago was our first night to host the National Night Out Against Crime at the Johnson County Fair. And we hosted the National Night Out by on family night at the Johnson County Fair. We grilled hot dogs, and I'm pretty sure the temperature was about 120. And we grilled about 700 hot dogs and served them free to the families that visited the fair to increase interaction between and build relationships between us and the citizens that came to the fair in Gardner. And then last year we had our second annual, and we served also over 500. Does anybody remember the number? About 700 hot dogs last year that were donated by Price Chopper and Gatorade. And so we also had a touch a truck event with the police car and officers out engaging with the public. And because of our actions, which was planned primarily by Sergeant Steinmates, Officer Jolly, and now Officer Sisson will be taking over the reins, and then everybody else was present helping. Captain Hayes grilled a majority of the hot dogs both years, and it was not hot at all. Because of our efforts, we were awarded the National Night Out Award from the National Association of Town Watch and National Night Out Participation Outstanding Participation Award.
Awesome. Again, I think it just shows the commitment to being in the community, being involved in the community, obviously keeping you safe, but it's important to have a good presence when you're out there so that people feel comfortable with you as well.
It's important to build a relationship, so when we need to use those relationships to kind of calm things down and move things along, we already have those relationships with the community to build on.
Thank you. Yeah, okay. Awesome, thank you. Okay, and this, our next presentation is unfortunately a little bit late, but we absolutely want to still do it. And I believe this is for the Vietnam War Veterans Day. Unfortunately, we had to miss our last meeting. That's why we're a little bit late with this one. But we do have some, it looks like some veterans. If you'd like to come forward, that'd be great.
Walk straight line here.
Welcome, thank you for your service. And, you were all in Vietnam veterans.
Yeah. Boots on the ground, all three of us.
Awesome, awesome.
Doc was that's what Doc was.
Actually, yeah, if you'd like to, real quick. Say.
I was Jim Von Essen. I was in the Marine Corps. Then
Marine over there. Yeah.
Doc was in the Navy.
Navy Corps
Corpsman,
Reserve Marines.
and of course, a Marine's best friend, and also a fellow Marine. Mike here.
I'm
Mike
Army, I
Hawkins,
was I was signal.
The Army.
Yeah.
Army.
Sixth
Communications center.
generation Gardner resident.
Wow, that's awesome. That's awesome. Thank you so much for your service. So we have this proclamation for Vietnam War Veterans Day. So I'm going to read this. Whereas more than 3 million servicemen and women served in the Vietnam War between 1964 and 1975 and represent a generation who exemplified the very meaning of courage, bravery, honor, and sacrifice. And whereas on March 29, 1973, the last American troops were withdrawn from the battlefields of South Vietnam, thus ending one of the longest conflicts in our nation's history. And whereas more than 4,000 members of the Kansas National Guard were mobilized for the Vietnam War, and whereas in the quarter century since its unveiling, the Vietnam Memorial has paid eternal tribute to the more than 58,000 U.S. service members who made the ultimate sacrifice in combat or remain missing to this day. And whereas of the names listed on the Vietnam Memorial Wall, 627 are from the state of Kansas. And whereas Vietnam Veterans Day is an opportunity to honor the heroic accomplishments of service members who gave their lives and all those who served our country during the Vietnam conflict. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Todd Winters, Mayor of the City of Gardner, Kansas, do hereby proclaim March 29th, 2025 to be designated Vietnam War Veterans Day. And I encourage all citizens to participate in the associated events that honor Vietnam veterans on this day. Appreciate you coming, and Gunner, would you like to take it with you there?
Yes, I'll
Take that.
thank you very much.
You gave it to him.
Simplified.
Alright. And our next one is for Autism Acceptance Month. Looks like we've got some. Come on up, yeah. What's your name?
I'm Matt.
Mac.
This is my sister Paula.
Hi. And your mom's pretty, she's pretty involved in helping with this, right? Yeah, she does a great job. Mom and dad, of course, but yeah. Awesome. Okay, are you ready for this? It's long. Okay, you made it this far. All right, here we go. Whereas autism is a developmental disability characterized by a range of successes and challenges with socialization, communication, and behavior, and whereas the symptoms of autism typically are present before age 3 and often are accompanied by abnormalities in cognitive function, learning, attention, and sensory processing, and whereas autism affects 1 in every 44 children in the United States, is 4 times more likely to occur in boys than in girls, and it can affect anyone regardless of race, ethnicity, or other factors. And whereas the need for early intervention services begins soon after a child has been diagnosed with autism to significantly improve healthy outcomes and reduce the level of funding and services needed to treat people with autism later in life. And whereas people with autism can be and are productive members of the workforce if they are given appropriate support, training, and early intervention services. And whereas individuals with autism, like other Americans, should have the opportunity to realize their ambitions and lead rewarding lives. And whereas with the autism diagnosis rate increasing fast, we take these 30 days to celebrate the differences of, learn more about, and empower autistic individuals. Now therefore be resolved that I, Todd Winters, Mayor of the City of Gardner, Kansas, do hereby proclaim April 2025 as Autism Acceptance Month in Gardner, Kansas, to increase understanding and acceptance of people with autism spectrum disorder and to address the diverse needs of individuals and families affected by autism. There we go. These two walked the red car. You walked as well, didn't you? The red carpet, yeah. They put on a pretty good fashion show, let me tell you. Thank you guys. Good job, guys. All right, we have one more. This is for Fair Housing Month. And it says, whereas the Fair Housing Act enacted on April 11th, 1968 enshrined into federal law the goal of eliminating racial segregation and ending housing discrimination in the United States. And whereas the Fair Housing Act prohibits discrimination in housing based on race, color, religion, sex, familial status, national origin, and disability, and commits recipients of federal funding to affirmatively further fair housing in their communities. And whereas the City of Gardner is committed to the mission and intent of Congress to provide fair and equal housing opportunities for all. And whereas our social fabric, the economy, health, and environment are strengthened in diverse, inclusive communities. And whereas more than 50 years after the passage of the Fair Housing Act, discrimination persists, and many communities remain segregated. And whereas acts of housing discrimination and barriers to equal housing opportunity are repugnant to a common sense of decency and fairness. Now therefore be resolved that I, Todd Winters, Mayor of the City of Gardner, Kansas, do hereby proclaim the month of April 2025 as Fair Housing Month in the City of Gardner, Kansas, as an inclusive community committed to fair housing and to promoting appropriate activities by private and public entities to provide and advocate for equal housing opportunities for all residents and prospective residents of the City of Gardner. All right, so that concludes our presentations, and we will move to public comments. So at this time, members of the public are welcome to use this time to make comments about city matters or items on the agenda that are not part of a public hearing. If you wish to come forward, please limit your comments to 5 minutes or less. And there is a 5-minute time clock to your left. Please come forward and state your name and address for the record. The podium is now open. Yeah. Sir, come forward.
Apologize for my attire. Just came from soccer practice.
Very good.
So, all right. Mr. Mayor, council members, thank you very much for allowing me the opportunity to speak today. My name is Andy Ackright. I actually live in Mission, Kansas, but my wife teaches here in Gardner. My son goes to school here in Gardner, and I've been coaching soccer here in Gardner for the past 4 years. And I would just like to take the opportunity today to thank Gardner Parks and Recreation Department for all that they do. They don't know I'm here. They don't know I was coming, but I believe that they deserve the recognition, some recognition. As you probably very well know, kids are on their computers and their phones and gaming systems all the time and not going outside very much anymore. And Parks and Rec provides an outlet for that. A lot of other things like Premier League teams, which nothing against, but they can't include everyone. Now, my soccer team, we're good, and some of those guys could be on those teams, but Parks and Rec, especially soccer that I'm most familiar with, it provides the opportunities for life lessons of teamwork, of working with people of different abilities, of learning when it might be something where you need to pass the ball. I'm sure you as council members have had to pass the ball, or sometimes you need to take the ball and take charge and know that that's what you need to do. And it also really, it's valuable because it teaches people that everyone has a role. And more than that, it's able to teach kids that they have a role, that they're important. And in a situation where other times you can't. For example, where are kids picked on the most at school? Probably recess and lunch. And where are teachers mostly not? Recess and lunch. Now, if a kid's getting picked on and the teacher says, no, Johnny always gets picked last in kickball, be nice to Johnny, is that going to work? No. But as a soccer coach, I can say, yo, nobody's passing to Johnny. Let's go. Come on, we're a team, right? And literally, it can work. And these kids, as they grow and they level out, it's they become more and more equalized, and some kids are really confident, they're going to get to high school and realize, oh, there are kids from other schools that are really good too. So it's a really good opportunity to teach life lessons and values. One of our rules as coaches is that every player has to play an equal amount of time. And but I want to point out that Parks and Rec, while of course they could use more funding and all that, they do the best with what they have. And if you've ever gone out on a Saturday morning to Celebration Park and seen it and just taken a step back and thought, how in the world did somebody organize all these games, all these refs, these coaches and everything? It is quite impressive. And I'd like to specifically point out Miss Kara Hargrove, who does an excellent job, especially when we get rained out for a weekend and we have to figure everything out. So it is something that is really valuable to the city. I'd just like to point out, because these kids are the future of Gardner. And they're the kids who are going to be someday sitting in your seats, and these lessons that they can learn through soccer and everything is really valuable, and that they taper off. Even at starting second grade, you get fewer and fewer kids. So just like to thank Gardner Parks and Rec and keep it in your minds for the future that anything you can do to help them out and to help out these kids and help them grow is fantastic. And I'd just like to recognize it and say that you're all welcome to come watch the games on Saturday mornings. It's truly a good time, and you'll truly see sportsmanship and camaraderie with not only the players but the coaches as well as we grow together as well. So thank you very much, and thank you for your time, and go Blue Jays.
All right, thank you very
Cool.
much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Coach.
We don't have to, he's certainly stating things. I think we all know that we have a great Parks and Rec department that does a fantastic job at. That's Is there any further public comment? All right. We will move to consent agenda. Is there an item on the consent agenda council would like to remove? Do I hear a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Motion McNear, second Deaton. We approve the consent agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Abstain? Consent agenda passes. We also have planning and zoning consent. Is there an item on planning and zoning consent we'd like to remove? Do I have a motion, planning and zoning?
So moved.
Second.
Give it to, motion Shoot, second Deaton. Approve the planning and zoning consent agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Planning and zoning passes. So we'll move to new business item number 1. Consider accepting voluntary annexations with landowner consent.
Good evening. This is a request for the voluntary annexation of 2 parcels of land. The property adjoins land already in the city of Gardner and therefore can be annexed. The property is intended to be developed into single-family homes. Staff recommends approval of the agreement and adoption of the ordinance annexing the property into the city.
Thank you, Jim. Is there any public comment for new business item number 1? Okay, council, do you have any questions or comments for Jim? Do I hear a motion for new business item 1?
So moved.
Second.
Motion McNear, second Deaton. We accept the voluntary consent annexation agreements from the property owner identified within and adopt ordinance number 2830, an ordinance annexing land to the city of Gardner, Kansas. City Clerk?
Councilmember Ween.
Yes.
Councilmember Shute.
Yes.
Councilmember McNear.
Yes.
Councilmember Baldwin.
Yes.
Councilmember Dean.
Yes.
Ordinance number 2830 passes. New business item number 2, consider an ordinance authorizing the city of Gardner, Kansas to issue its industrial revenue bonds taxable under federal law, Series 2025, Olathe Ford RB Phase 1, in the principal amount not to exceed $2,800,000 for the purpose of acquiring, constructing, and equipping the first phase of an expansion to a commercial facility within the city and authorizing the execution of certain documents in connection with the issuance of the bonds. Matt.
On September 3rd, 2024, Council adopted resolution number 2151, stating the city's intent to issue future IRBs in an amount not to exceed $2.8 million. The bonds have been requested by the developer for the sales tax exemption on construction materials, equipment, and furnishing. There is no property tax abatement associated with the bonds, and the bonds shall not be a general obligation of the city. It is staff's recommendation that you adopt the proposed ordinance.
Okay. Is there any public comment for new business item number 2? Council, do you have any questions, comments? Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion Deaton, second Shoot. We adopt ordinance number 2831, an ordinance authorizing the city of Gardner, Kansas to issue its industrial revenue bonds taxable under federal law, Series 2025, Olathe Ford RB Phase 1, in the principal amount not to exceed $2,800,000 for the purpose of acquiring, constructing, and equipping the first phase of an expansion to a commercial facility within the city and authorizing the execution of certain documents in connection with the issuance of bonds. City Clerk.
Councilmember Shute.
Yes.
Councilmember McNair.
Yes.
Councilmember Baldwin.
Yes.
Councilmember Dean.
Yes.
Councilmember Ween.
Yes.
Ordinance number 2831 passes. New business item number 3, consider adopting a resolution authorizing the offer for public sale of certain general obligation bonds and notes of the city of Gardner, Kansas.
The city is scheduled to sell approximately 28.39 principal amount of general obligation bonds, Series 2025A, and approximately $725,000 principal amount of general obligation temp notes, Series 2025B. 25A general obligation bonds will be used to reimburse costs related to the Kill Creek Water Resource Recovery Facility Phase 2 expansion project. This is just the first round of bonds for that project. It is a $40 million project, so we'll be issuing another round of bonds later on. Then the Wynwood Relief Sewer Project, and then also the construction of a new utility maintenance building. The 2025B general obligation temp notes will be used to provide temporary financing for infrastructure improvements related to Tuscan Farm Phase 1B, Special Benefit District. The SBD will cover approximately $645,000 in project costs. The developer will use private funding to cover the remaining costs. The overall infrastructure costs are estimated to be about $1.5 million. After improvements have been constructed, general obligation bonds will be issued to provide permanent financing. The city will levy special assessments on the properties within the Special Benefit District to repay the debt service. The proposed resolution authorizes all preparations to facilitate the sale of the bonds and notes. It is staff's recommendation that you authorize or you adopt the resolution.
Thank you, Matt. Any public comment? New business item number 3. Seeing none. Council, do you have questions or comments? Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion Deaton, second McNear. We adopt resolution number 2167, resolution authorizing the offer for public sale of certain general obligation bonds and notes of the city of Gardner, Kansas. City Clerk.
Councilmember McNair.
Yes.
Councilmember Baldwin.
Yes.
Councilmember Dean.
Yes.
Councilmember Ween.
Yes.
Councilmember Shute.
Yes.
Resolution 2167 passes. New business item number 4, consider authorizing the city administrator to execute a development agreement with Arise Homes, LLC, for the partial reimbursement of specific construction costs for sewer improvements.
Arise Homes LLC is planning to purchase the Donovan property to build a residential development. A full build-out, the development is expected to consist of approximately 261 single-family homes. Through the planning and development process for public improvements, staff has worked closely with the developer on sanitary sewer solution for the area. It is staff's recommendation to partner with Arise Homes to construct a permanent lift station that would serve both the Arise Homes and the adjacent Lone Star Prairie development. This approach would eliminate the need to have a temporary lift station for Lone Star, and this serves the city's interest. To have a single permanent lift station would be more efficient than basically having 2 temporary lift stations. The proposed development agreement outlines the terms and conditions between the developer and the city. The city would reimburse the developer for $200,000 of cost of sanitary sewer lift station. The city would also reimburse the developer for $100,000 of cost of additional linear footage of the forced main sewer pipe. The city would reimburse 100% of the cost of the gravity line connection from Lone Star Prairie development to the lift station. The connection's estimated to be about $140,000. The total estimated cost to the city is about $440,000. This payment would come from the wastewater fund. On the development agreement, we need to make a minor correction in the motion. I'll defer to the city attorney for the exact wording, but essentially in recital A, it basically describes the developer is contracted to buy real property located in the city, commonly known as Lone Star and Arise Homes Development. They're only buying the one that will be Arise Homes. Lone Star is a different development, so that part needs to be struck from that recital. But it's staff's recommendation that you adopt or that you authorize the city administrator to execute the development agreement.
All right, thank you, Matt. Any public comment on new business item number 4? Council, do you have any questions?
I guess I just had one. Was this something we were already planning for? Was this, okay.
No, you said you need to modify the.
Yeah, I think you can just make a motion to approve the development agreement and as amended, as suggested by staff.
Okay. All right, is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to allow the city administrator to execute the development agreement as amended by staff.
Second.
Motion Shoot, second McNear. We authorize the city administrator to execute a development agreement as amended by staff. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Abstain? New business item number 4 passes. New business item number 5, consider accepting voluntary annexations with landowner consent.
This is related to the last item. It's a request for the voluntary annexation of 2 parcels of land, one at 33045 West 175th and the other at 17591 Four Corners Road. The properties adjoin land already in the city of Gardner and therefore can be annexed. Property is intended to develop into single-family homes. Staff recommends approval of the agreement and adoption of the ordinance annexing the land into the city.
Thank you, Jim. Is there any public comment for new business item number 5? I was going to say the crowd's dwindling. Yeah. Seeing none, is there any questions or comments from council? Okay. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion Deaton, second Shoot. We accept the voluntary consent annexation agreements from the property owner identified within and adopt ordinance number 2832, an ordinance annexing land to the city of Gardner, Kansas. City clerk.
Councilmember Baldwin.
Yes.
Councilmember Dean.
Yes.
Councilmember Weem.
Yes.
Councilmember Shute.
Yes.
Councilmember McNair.
Yes.
Ordinance number 2832 passes. And last but not least, new business item number 6. Or consider a recommendation to purchase a switchgear for substation 4 CIP project EL 4005.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Due to the long lead time of electrical equipment, the city began the procurement process for Substation 4 in early 2024. Today, the city has authorized 130 MVA transformer, 161 kV circuit breaker, a control room building, and tonight we have the switchgear. What a switchgear is basically is a building that contains feeder breakers that they feed the different distribution lines. So the bid was advertised in the Gardner on the not Gardner News, the legal record city website and Drexel. 3 companies submitted bids: Avail, Power 8 Power, Myers Power Products. The bids were reviewed by Olson, and they recommended going with Avail. We also have experience with Avail on other projects. In addition, the switcher will need to be certified by a third party for an additional $7,800. The bids do not include sales tax. So staff recommends approving Avail as a supplier of the switchgear for Substation 4.
Thank you, Gons. Is there any public comment for new business item 6? Council, any questions?
Ed, just one. Guys, is this the one that is non-UL approved?
Correct.
Do you have any concerns over that?
No, sir. You can get certified for $7,800.
Okay,
If you
so
get-
we're covered then, is that correct?
Yes. If you get the UL, it's an additional $70,000.
I think 800 will work.
Yeah, good choice. Good choice.
Thank you, guys.
Okay.
Okay, do I hear a motion for business item 6?
So moved.
Second.
Motion McNair, second Deaton. We, 1, authorize the city administrator to execute a contract with Avail in the amount $750,000 plus tax for the purchase of Substation 4 switchgear CIP project EL 4005. And 2, authorize the switchgear certification for an additional $7,800 plus sales tax. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed and abstained. New business item number 6 passes.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Okay, so we'll move to council updates. We can start with Chief Waldeck.
I would like to introduce you all to our new deputy chief, Kelly Heron. He started about 2 weeks ago, and he is here tonight to meet you all if you'd like to after the meeting. And that's all I have.
Awesome. Welcome aboard. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
And you're welcome to sit too. We don't make it. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right.
No hazing. No hazing.
Yeah, the new guy. All right, well, thank you. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you,
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor.
All right, anything else, Chief?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you. City Clerk?
Nothing tonight.
Finance, Matt?
Nothing more tonight.
City Attorney?
Nothing.
No. All right, Gons, Electric,
Nothing tonight.
Parks and Rec.
Yeah, real quick, I just wanted to thank Coach Ackright for coming in, talking about the importance of our programs and the great staff that we have, but I'd be remiss if I didn't recognize all the volunteer coaches that we have. 100% of our sports programs are volunteer-based, and those programs wouldn't happen without our volunteer coaches, so I wanted to recognize them as well.
Awesome. We've got multiple volunteer coaches up here at one time or another. All right, thank you.
Nothing tonight.
No, Dave. Okay. Tim? Public Works.
No, nothing for me either.
Any word
Are we
on
still on?
the sewer relief project through the park there, through the Greenway? Are we getting close on the project through the Greenway?
So, for which project?
The sewer relief project through there? Yeah. Maybe gone.
So the northern part of the project is almost complete. Now we're doing the boring, and that will, like I said before, it should be completed before or during summer.
All right, thank you. Okay, city administrator.
So I wanted to give a quick update. The mayor and I went to Washington DC a couple weeks ago at the invitation of our lobbyist, David Roberts. Pat Roberts joined us, which was really interesting. He opens a lot of doors. Literally. I had a backpack. I mean, we walked right around the mags, just walked right in, and it was really interesting. But we were able to meet with Representative Davids, with Senators Moran and Marshall, and it was great to get the opportunity to put our project in front of them. We talked about it at length, talked about our sewer project and the need for federal assistance. But I think more importantly, we were able to get in front of some of the key staffers. And those people, and you learn that when you talk to them, they make a lot of the decisions on what's prioritized, what's approved. So we were able to have those conversations as well. So the trip was worthwhile. It was really interesting, and I think that even though the appropriations process is still in flux, and actually the appropriations last year was the first year we didn't get them. Nobody got them because even the people on the list, since they did a CR for the rest of the year, none of those people got the money. So I think we're in a really good position for when we do appropriations again for us to get another appropriation from Congress. So,
Yeah, well said.
and I also wanted to thank Coach too, because Jason, when we have staff meetings, we never pass him the ball. So that's it's a good reminder for us to include him. So thank you, I appreciate that.
When my 7th and 8th graders don't pass the ball.
All right. Start on my left here.
You mean, yeah, the one who's probably been a coach in Gardner at least longer than anybody here.
Oh, absolutely.
So yeah, I've been coach in the Gardner soccer program for a better part of the last 20 years. So I took a year off this year, but I think I'm getting the itch again to go back in the fall. But thank you, Coach, for coming out. You expressed a lot of things that have been on my mind for many years, and since I was up here and not down there, I really couldn't go out to the podium and talk to the council about it. Jason and his staff, and especially Kara, do an amazing job. I know how difficult it is to to deal with 700 plus kids in the soccer league, and it's the biggest league that we've got by far. And she is right on top of things, and she sometimes has to make tough decisions and deal with disputes. There are disputes out there. I've not been a party to any of them, I'm sure. Actually, I believe I was on 1 or 2 occasions, but that's over 20 years. But I know that she and I know that Matt McClure was part of that before he decided to go to Baldwin, and he everybody who you've put in place over there has done an amazing job, Jason. I just wanted to call your efforts out as well. It's one of the shining lights of this Parks and Rec program. So thank you again.
Councilman McNair?
Yes, thank you. First off, Coach, again, thanks for your help and volunteers. Without folks like you, we don't have programs for our kids, but I think that Jason, you and your staff have done a great job. The other thing I wanted to thank you for all the work you do. But tonight we heard some of our departments mentioned finance, excellent job, man. Thank you. Congratulations on the hard work. Okay, and then police department, excellent job. Professionalism and response has been excellent. Thank you. To the Vietnam vets, I think they've left. As a Marine Corps veteran myself, in the late 70s and early 80s, our veterans that served in the Vietnam War never got the respect and honor that they deserved for their sacrifices. And let me tell you, that war was brutal. And they have been the most disrespected group of men and women that have ever served our country. So I salute them. And then had one thing that I wanted to mention tonight. We're starting to see, I know I've seen, I don't know if the rest of the council has seen, a tremendous amount of these kids on these little e-scooters, electric scooters. Last week, a kid right out here, just on front of City Hall, pulled across 5 lanes of traffic on Main Street. 2 of them, and they just about got hit twice. Don't know what to do about it. E-bikes are becoming a problem. There's e-bikes and scooters on the trails, and there's no motorized vehicles. And I'm wondering if council would have consensus to maybe help us figure out who to have take a look at this and see if we can do something to help. Maybe even if we have to codify some of this.
I think we'd actually had a discussion not too long ago about the e-bikes, and specifically around some of the rental bikes that other, like bird scooters and things like that. I think we had actually talked about not allowing those on our public sidewalks and trails, right?
We didn't disallow.
We don't disallow, but we're not going to be allowing them to set up kiosks. Yeah, Bird or.
So the issue is these little e-scooters. The kids are getting younger and younger, and and somebody's going to get hurt.
Yeah. Okay, I'll be that guy.
Yeah, be that guy.
I'm always that guy. There's 2 aspects to this issue and any other one like it. Parent responsibility.
Agreed.
And then if that doesn't work, enforcement by police. That's it.
Unfortunately, option number 2 is becoming more and more necessary.
Well, they'll learn it one way or another.
And maybe as summer and spring, and we might already have this in work, some pedestrian awareness campaigns.
Yeah.
And, I know we usually do that in the spring, and maybe including e-bikes and making sure that they follow the rules of the road, stop signs. And I mean, there's times where I'm out driving on a Saturday morning and cyclists go through stop signs, and it gets dangerous at all ages. So maybe some awareness campaigns would help as well.
Yeah, it's kind of Mark said. I mean, I think you're right.
It's more for their protection than it is for the cars, because the cars will. I mean,
Mark,
if it's a car versus a pedestrian or a cyclist, guess
Well,
who's
I
going
mean,
to win?
we just saw this the other night in Conestoga, right?
Yes.
Yep.
I mean, so, luckily, the bicyclist was okay, right? Nobody wants anybody to get hurt, but, there's not a whole lot we can do to legislate good behavior, right?
No.
So,
Mark, I agree with you. parents seem to be the number one first, but the specific instance, my wife and I about hit these two kids. And they were probably 6 or 7 years old, crossing Main Street right out here on scooters, electric scooters. That's dangerous.
It is. I mean, Chief, I mean, you probably can speak to awareness. I mean, it's like saying to the bicycle, right?
Exactly. But the problem there is intensifying because it went from bikes to e-scooters, and the age groups of those getting younger and younger and younger.
Oh, yeah. I saw a 4-year-old not too long ago, and actually they were in the airport. They can actually convert their little bags to scooters now. It's just the weirdest thing. Yeah, I know. They had this little. I wish, but no. But yeah, the 4-year-old, they had a little carry-on bag, and they were able to just flip it around and put a pedal on that, or something drops out of it, and then it becomes a scooter, an e-scooter. So
We'll do some awareness.
Yeah, I was gonna say some awareness. Yeah, good start.
That's all I had. Thanks, guys.
Sure. Councilman Wade?
I think I want to commend you, Chief. I think you had an event out at the Justice Center a couple Saturdays ago for pet registration or whatever, and ran past there, and cars were lined up all the way from your back entrance all the way to University. So congratulations, it's a great turnout. I'm pretty excited about where that's headed. So.
Thank you. 182 animals received services that day.
people love their pets here.
And were they microchipping also at that event?
Yes, vaccines and microchipping.
Good.
Yeah, so it was great. And then do we have any update? Maybe I'm the only one who's missing out on our wonderful bridge over
troubled.
I figured you
the
would
troubled bridge over I-35. Yeah.
So they're closing it tomorrow to do the repair of the hole. I've been assured by the Deputy Secretary of Transportation that we're going to be in the June letting. So it's moving forward. Hopefully they'll start construction by the end of the year, and hopefully not on the first day of school. So we will coordinate with that. But yeah, we are definitely going to be in the June letting.
And 2 lanes will be open. I heard this from them before, that they weren't going to close any lanes on the existing span.
No, they're going to have to close it for a while, but it's not until they've got to
next year.
Yeah, I think we're down to 60 days maybe closure.
We haven't seen a final phasing plan for them.
Okay.
The work you're talking about is going to be 1 lane closure while they do the temporary repairs.
Yeah.
I mean, it'll be probably a year into the project before we have them closing.
So
once they build a new bridge and switch traffic over to
yeah.
the bridge.
So at least not until the following summer, which
Right.
is
Yes.
8 to 12 months. Hopefully.
And then they moved the Moonlight Bridge from 26 to 27, so we don't have both bridges closed at the same time.
Thank you.
And then we'll go to local consult in October to work on we're in the design pipeline for 175th to try to get to the construction pipeline.
Okay.
That's all I have.
First off, finance, congratulations on all the awards and for the longevity of that. I know you guys do so much and field so many requests from everybody, so thank you for all that you guys do. PD, that new dog chip scanner is an amazing idea. When I saw that post, I was so excited. I think that with all the issues that we've been having, and I mean, ever since I've moved to Gardner and joined CFG, it's lost dogs constantly. So hopefully, but we have great citizens that pick up lost dogs and want to help, and this gives them the ability to help. And I really hope that it gets used well. And I think it's phenomenal.
Do you get feedback on like how many have been scanned yet, or?
We don't get any, like, it's just a scanner. There's no magic to it or anything like that. So we don't know, other than when people tell us. Okay. And so we have heard a little bit. When the media came out to do the story, they said that they met someone that was out using it. So that was nice. We will probably put more out in the city, but we wanted to see how it went and if it was used and the feedback before we did that. So, and I can't take the credit for this. Captain Roberts found this and built it, and like it doesn't, you don't buy that. We created it. So it's, you know, it's been very successful, and we've had a whole lot of positive feedback.
That's it.
I thought it was a great idea. Also, the Battle of the Badges blood drive is on the 13th, this Sunday. I am signed up. If you want to watch a council member cry, you can also sign up at 4:45. If you don't want to see me cry, feel free to sign up during any of the times. We did not get the trophy last year, so fingers crossed that we get it this year again. And then I'd be remiss if I didn't publicly say happy birthday, Todd.
Oh.
It's such a long meeting, and
39
powering
again.
through-
I know. Can you believe it?
Oh, I thought it was his 21st. So
Thanks, Mayor. Thank you.
that was it.
Happy birthday, Todd.
Thank you very much.
I won't sing.
Oh.
That's your present.
Thank you. All right, Mr. President.
Kudos to all the departments.
Yeah.
As usual, things are going well in town, so that's good. I didn't know that was designed and created by us. I thought it was just you buy it and that's a thing, so that's really cool to hear. Gardner?
Thank you.
Yep.
Love it.
Pass that on.
I will absolutely. When we started talking about the microchipping, we were Googling and trying to figure out different things we could do. That was something that has been done on the East Coast, and but we couldn't figure out where or anything. So we piecemealed it, and he built it. So
Awesome.
I will pass the word on. Thank you.
I mean,
That means you can't leave.
no, but I mean, like, you might have a little side hustle.
Exactly.
There, you know?
We have had people reach out to us asking where we bought it. I said, maybe we could capitalize on this.
Yeah.
Hey, that's a profit
Could
center.
be a new
there.
revenue source.
That's it.
Okay, I don't have anything further either. So
No cake?
Okay, ice cream?
Yeah.
not that I know of.
Ice cream cake melted back there.
Yeah, it's probably burgers.
Probably, like you don't know.
All right, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion shoot, second deed, we adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Abstained? It's not bad. It's a lot faster than I thought.
As many items, 14, that's amazing.